I may just talk too. Will you double check that I'm on? I'm going to take that off. It's been charging.
Yeah, let me log in. Oh, LinkedIn.
Stream started. So it says I'm here.
You're there on YouTube.
Hello, I'm back on YouTube.
Zoom meeting now.
I gotta see, where do I add you?
Is there an admit thing?
Um, Before there was a thing that showed participants. I don't see you. Is there a way to add you? Invite?
Oh, homie, you were on LinkedIn.
Oh, good. I think I'm on LinkedIn again. I think something happened this morning. You know, when you put something together like this, you just never know what's going to happen. Come over here, Avery. Avery deserves your attention. He's my stepson. He's been here all day. He's been quiet. He's been in the corner, but he's been helping out. So he's gonna go home soon. What do you want to say to everybody?
Um, uh,
What do you think of healthcare?
I feel like it's not really that good right now, at least.
We're gonna try and make it better.
Try.
Okay, you could tell him to buy the book.
Yeah, buy the book.
Okay, thanks. I think he just wants me to buy him a video game, but hey, he's motivated. So we had a listening session here, and I was just grateful for everyone that came. In our community, we had a health center show up, and they have nurse practitioners and they have therapists, and they really work on care for like the whole body. And they're one of our founding partners of the coalition. And then we had a representative from the Congress, field rep for Mark Metzner, which is our congressman. And they were here to listen and gave a note about what they're doing. And then our state senator was here. His name is Spencer Deering, and he was listening as well, and brought up a couple of issues at the end and said, these are some things we're voting on, and we just wanted to get kind of our opinion about it. And I thought that was great. So we have a guest speaker coming up. Ashley, could you get my script? It's on the table over there. We have Amber coming. And you're running around on the camera. Where that's from your thing. So now that you're here, I'm gonna add you. I'm gonna add Amber as well. Uh, Hello, Amber.
Did that work? Hello.
Amber, you are live. We just brought you in. We've had some technical issues with everything today, so
I saw
we're not
that.
gonna. You saw that?
I did,
So
and
we
I
verified,
read,
right?
yeah.
So we're on the we know that we're on LinkedIn right now. So we're
Okay.
not going to change anything. And we know we're on YouTube. So from 2 to 5, we're gonna do the best that we can. So
Okay. Perfect.
all right, let me just read your little introduction and then we'll talk, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Uh
Spotlight Amber.
I gotta spotlight you. I thought I did. I spotlighted everybody.
You can just spotlight Amber.
You're getting the back scene.
And yeah, now she's on LinkedIn too.
Okay. Okay, now we're there. Okay, ready?
Yep.
This segment returns to the safe staffing and through the lens of law enforcement. Research and bedside experience, they already demonstrate that safe nurse to patient ratio saves lives. The question is whether we will codify that evidence into any kind of enforceable policy. Amber, and I'm going to butcher your name, is Soyland,
Yes,
right?
that's it.
Okay, I did it. I usually don't. Amber, though, she works at the intersection of data and the law, advocating for standards that treat patient safety as a non-negotiable. Amber, I want this time to be for you. So tell us what you're doing. I'm excited.
Well, thank you. And congrats on the book. I'm so excited. I have already read it. It's amazing. I wholeheartedly recommend it. It really is about hope and not that healthcare clinicians have lost hope, but we still have it. We're still trying. We're still trying to build healthcare. And I know that I've been in touch with you for a while, and that's what we're all trying to do and get across. And that is also what I'm trying to do with Safe Staff. It is a platform. It is an app that you can download. And first and foremost, it's a documentation system for yourself so that you can keep track of things that you need to, like when you filled out an ADO. It does not replace the ADO. It's just kind of putting a timestamp and a note in there so that you can remember for yourself, like, hey, I filled out an ADO on this day, this day, this day. You can also document things like missed meals and breaks, bullying. There's sentinel events. You can keep track of all this documentation. And like I said, first and foremost, it's there for yourself to have it. It's stored encrypted, it's de-identified, it's becomes aggregated data. And then secondly, what we do with that data is we're keeping it for now. We're storing it. We're bundling all this information so that we can recognize the patterns across the United States in all of healthcare, in skilled nursing facilities, in hospitals, in medical offices. And we can really track and recognize the patterns that are so huge and in our face right now, but no one surprisingly is tracking them. No one is keeping that data. So that is why I'm here. I'm keeping that data, and then I'm hoping to, like I said, recognize those patterns and be able to do something with them, make hospitals and offices accountable, hold them accountable, make them more transparent so we can see what's going on inside. We're hoping to eventually funnel that data into OSHA or the states so that the hospitals can be held accountable, so that we know when there are events that take place. Like, we as the healthcare clinicians know that these events are actually occurring.
That's exciting. Data collection on this kind of scale is so important. And for somebody like me, I have written hundreds, if not thousands, of reports myself, and I don't have any kind of record for what I've done. You know, when healthcare died for me, I tell everybody I was working a shift on a weekend, and we were out of briefs, and we didn't even have the copy paper that we needed. And this was all during COVID. And when I called the manager on the unit, she got mad at me, and it was like, she's like, I haven't been in the building for months, and I'm just like, who's in charge of this?
Oh, you're out of
And
reality.
I know. And I reached out to every like organization inside the hospital, the patient experience, the ethics committee, the like everything inside the hospital. And then I started, after I realized, they didn't care, I started reaching out to the health department, the board of nursing, and I even got to the attorney general for my state, and like I'm doing everything I can advocating. And it's like, I wish I had had a record of all the different complaints I had filed, because I can only estimate in my mind, but like these timestamps, it's personal for you. You have that data, you have that record, and then it doesn't get lost in the process because you still have your copies. So for me, it was like when I was introduced to your business and these opportunities, it was kind of a light bulb moment. It was like, huh, why didn't I think about having a record of my own complaints? But you know what I mean?
I didn't think about it either. I'm like,
I know.
and it's like part of the stuff I stored in my work email. And when I
Yeah.
left that job, I left all the data behind, and there was no way that I could access it. And of course, the organization that I worked for was like, no, you can't have access to that. You've already left. So I was stuck
Yeah.
at thing.
Yeah. I was smart enough to do like a blind copy to myself, but like I had all the data, but I just didn't have a good way to organize it. And
Yeah.
like and what people don't realize is you may have a plan to leave the company, but if you raise a big enough stink, they're going to separate your employment before you ever have a chance to. So if you don't have a personal record of some of your own advocacy work, it's gone. And
Yeah.
it's not like it doesn't exist on the database. Your access to it is
Your
gone. And
access.
you signed that away when you started the job. I'm just like, okay. And I
Yeah.
think that's one of the sharpest things about what you're doing. And I thought it was one of the better ideas I've been exposed to this year. So
Well, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. I have not done any type of advertising out there. It's all been word of mouth or social media, or somebody hears it and they're like, this is great. I have to get people on this. And we are like 2,500 users deep now, and we are gaining an average
good.
of about 30 per day. So we're doing great things and collecting lots of data. I mean, we have a long way to go. But we're definitely the amount of users that we have so far for just like an organic reach really tells me that there are so many people that need this. There is such
Yeah.
a use for this.
And I have the business of hope, and one of the things that we're intentional about is slow growth, because I think sometimes viral growth brings you followers, and they bring you an audience, but slow growth brings you participants, and they bring you advocates, and it's more relational. And it's like, I don't think people always get that. It's like sometimes people have to hear the same message 7 or 8 times before they even start to buy in. But like, who would you rather
Absolutely.
have in a movement? Followers or participants? And I
Right.
think that's where we've landed. So I think it's smart.
Yeah. And it's so frustrating to grow slowly. I mean, um, I I know most of this world is like ADHD type of world, we're all like, we need six
Yeah,
second videos and we need everything done. So I know for myself, it is so frustrating. Like I log on and check my emails probably 40 times a day and I'm like, I have nothing. Like I have to be doing something.
I know.
But I try to remind myself like, you need lots of data for this sample size. I mean, if we're just talking nurses, it's like what, like 4 to 6 million nurses, but then you add in all the ancillary stuff because this isn't just about nursing. Like this is healthcare that I am
Yeah,
doing. So you
yeah,
add in all the ancillary stuff. I mean, millions and millions and millions. So my sample size right now of 2,500, that's not representative of the United States. So like I keep reminding myself like slow going, word of mouth, keep adding them in every day.
right,
Yeah.
right. And I think you're looking for the individual, because even these organizations, they represent another organization. Like, and there's some connections there. But
Yeah.
like, to get to the heart of some of these issues, like for me with how healthcare dies, I interviewed staff members. I talked to housekeeping, like you said. I talked to techs, talked to doctors. I talked to administrators. And like, what I tried to get through is, let's get to you as a human being, and let's have this conversation about how healthcare serves you. And then you find out that it's disappointing them. And then it came to this conclusion of like, when does a broken healthcare system break so far that it can't come back? And what was fascinating in the research, and it's not just one article, but like peer-reviewed
Oh yeah.
researchers have marked the date 2038, and there's systems that are already planning for what comes next. And that's in the book.
So I'm part of the Centers for Medicaid and Medicare Health Tech ecosystem. So essentially we're like a group of people who are kind of talking about like what can we do for the future? Like how can we integrate AI and algorithms and how can
Oh,
that
yeah.
be helpful? But I will tell you, 95% of what we're doing on there is patient facing. And like, I get that healthcare is about the patient. Like, we're there to solve problems and to diagnose and to fix, and I get that. But um I am having such a hard time trying to convince anyone with any kind of status that the workforce, like, I mean, even if we just took a little chunk and we said, like, let's make the workforce more happy, like,
Yeah.
let's accommodate them, and I mean, that would do wonders for patient facing. Like, if your staff is happy, we'll just say,
Yeah.
like, that does wonders for how they're treating the patient. But it's so hard to get anyone to recognize that, because all anyone is ever worried about is the end point. Like, what are our patient satisfaction scores? I mean, how long have we been measuring patient satisfaction scores?
Yeah.
What about the workforce? Like, we're the ones that are
Yeah.
there today,
Oh, yeah.
and nobody, I don't want to say nobody cares.
Staff satisfaction is not a metric anyone cares about. So,
It's not like those aren't even like publicly released metrics, like we
yeah.
have a couple of apps here and there, and like review systems where we talk about, staff, and everybody does their staff
Yeah.
satisfaction surveys, and management goes over them, but like, where do those go,
Yeah.
like, where do the negative reviews go? Like, we see lots of
Oh, yeah.
positive
Yeah.
reviews, but like,
It's
let's be honest, the negativity, like, that builds something. Like, just because something's negative doesn't
yeah,
ultimately mean it's a bad thing. Like, we could learn from it. It's a learning situation. We could change.
exactly. Well, my business partner here, Ashley Chancellor, she's on and she's just listening, but I wanted to acknowledge her and then give her a chance if she had any questions for you.
Yeah.
Ashley, say hi. You've not met Amber.
Hi, Amber. No, I literally just made a note that I'm contacting you after this
Well,
meeting
thank
because,
you.
yes, I love everything you're doing, and I really love that you talked about this could be available for everyone. Environmental services deserves a voice and to be
Absolutely.
acknowledged and to hear if they're having a good day or not, and
Yes.
to hear that their reports. And someone like me, Amber, I was a travel nurse for many years. And so what would have been interesting over time would be to recall the same reports that I wrote at different hospitals.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. And you could have all that with Safe Staff. And we actually have like special designation for travel nurses, because you guys experience so many hospitals in such a short time, and you guys go in there and you can tell us what it's like on the inside, and then not have it. We have so much fear of retaliation. I can't tell you how often I daily I get like, well, don't nobody download this app because your hospital's going to come after you. First off, if that's the way that you're thinking and that's the way that your hospital functions, maybe there's something wrong with your hospital. If they're trying to constantly cover things up and they're constantly telling you, this can't get out, we can't say this, we can't be honest, let's take a look at what your hospital's doing. If that's the response that I'm getting from you, then we need to change that, because it should be, hey, my work is a supportive environment, and if there is a Sentinel event and we have to get down to it and see if it was something that we can improve on, I mean, that should be public. Like, wouldn't you want to share that with another facility, that we could stop them from having the same problem, or we could help them along or whatnot?
I felt it as a travel nurse. I always kind of thought, like, why don't you care about the travel nurse's opinions? We've been to other hospitals. Like, don't you care that maybe there's a different way that a hospital does this, or maybe huddles could be different, or like, wow, at another facility, this staffing really works. But anytime I opened my mouth in 10 years of traveling, they never cared. It was almost an inconvenience.
Yeah.
Please don't talk, don't rally the employees, do not invite them to come travel, do not tell them that it's better or different anywhere else. There was almost some like underlying bullying
Oh, yeah.
if you talked about other facilities. And this was, I started traveling in 2013. That's 13 years ago.
Yeah. before COVID.
It was already
it was so
happening.
different already before COVID, and then COVID
Yes.
changed everything. Yeah.
Yes. And if we had something like this that was recording our own personal report and how we're showing up to work and what we're doing, I mean, that would be a game changer. It's giving us a voice.
Yep.
It's taking our
Absolutely.
voice back.
Absolutely. Yes. And like I said, most of the information on there is de-identified, aggregated. So we just pull it. You just become a statistic when you mark a missed meal. Like you have your timestamp and your information, and that's kept for you and stored, but you become a statistic. But our Sentinel events, that's kind of a whistleblower feature where it's meant to go public. And so that is where people can really like let us know what's going on inside and feel like you have a voice for sure. So while most of it is like just a statistic, we still have a feature on there that's going to get you public. We also have a forum on there for discussion. So you can go on and you can discuss with your peers like what it was like to work at that hospital, you know, avoid staying in this part of the city while you're here or whatnot. But we're definitely desperate for travel nurses because we value your opinion, because we know that you can compare it and you can say, well, it wasn't like this over here at this place. You know, every other place I've ever worked at has never done it that way, but this place decided to do it this way, and it makes it such a toxic environment. And we totally value that opinion. And so we're really looking for travel nurses to come on and give us those fast opinions.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I will get you in contact with as many travel nurses as I can.
Love
I
that.
think
Thank
that
you.
nurses across the board feel this. I think that nurses are really looking to change the system.
Yeah.
And what is something we can do? And we know that recording data gets us places. So if we can start documenting, start recording these things that we're posting, that we're experiencing, we build a voice. Amber, what you're doing is absolutely incredible. Thank you so much. Thank you, Matt, for giving me a little space for questions.
Of course, that's why we're here. Amber, you talked a little bit about the book. I just want to know, what influenced your thinking about staffing policy? Was there anything in there?
So I think it's kind of like a runaround. So yes, but it's more about the fact that this book isn't a complaint. This book is a like what inspired me to go about staffing and workplace violence and all that is that I cared. There's so many people in healthcare right now that got in it for the money or for the status or whatever. And they forgot to bring their empathy and compassion and caring with them to the job. And unfortunately, you know, I hear so many people saying, well, it's just a career. Be that as it may, you still have to have those things to have that career. And if you don't, you're just not going to be successful. And so this book really ties into bringing all these people together who truly do still care and who want to be part of
Yeah.
healthcare, and who joined for the right reasons. I hate saying that, but
Yeah.
and it all circles back. We're all trying to do the same thing. We're all trying to have that same voice to make healthcare better.
Yeah. I feel like through the book, I've become what's known as a moral injury expert. And what I find in my research is the people that are getting morally injured, as separate from the ones that are getting burnt out,
Yeah.
are the people that care more, are the people that invested so much emotional effort into being good providers. And there's a connection to that. And for the people that clock in and make money and go home, you know, God love you. But there's another section of us in healthcare that are there for this deeper meaning and this deeper purpose. And that's what drives us to be excellent caregivers. And
Yes.
the people that are making money are still good. You know, they put on a good show or whatever. But like, there's a difference between people that truly actually care if you live or die, and that your life is better because you came to us. And it's like trying to explain that to people.
It's
You know,
frustrating. I battle it every day.
yeah. So what is your hope when you consider like the metric wins and losses? What what's the metric that says safe staff is successful? Is it numbers or is it something else?
Safe staff is based in numbers, so you would think that that would be my answer. The more data I have, but no, I would measure success of safe staff that it has the ability to make a difference. So are we taking that data and are we solving problems with it? We collected the data, we recognize the problems, we see it, but did we take that data and do something meaningful with it? So did we funnel it to OSHA where OSHA held, the hospital or the rehab facility or whatever accountable and like, hey, these were your stats. Let's fix these, let's improve these, let's do these. That for me would be success. So almost like, the nursing process, like was our goal measurable in the end?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool. And I think you can't help but use metrics and numbers. And I think that's the trap like hospitals get into is they get so focused on these metrics, we get so focused on what a win is that we kind of misplace the actual win
Yeah.
is the patient, right?
Yeah.
You know, we talked about patient satisfaction, but it's like there's something deeper than just satisfaction. I didn't make you happy because you got a cookie,
Yeah.
I made you healthier because I explained to you that your diabetes is such that cookies need to be limited.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. I've said this in my other book, but I love it when a patient calls you and is complaining. The kitchen sent me 100 carbs. I'm on a 75 carb limit. And I'm just like, I am so glad you know your carb count.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? And
No,
it's
yeah.
like, let's take this off. Are you happy?
Yeah.
Like you are not over your carbs. But it's like, those are the metrics that shows wins, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's tough because you have to be the one that like goes back to the room. I mean,
Yeah,
and and explains to them and does
yeah,
the math with the carbs with them and like, hey, there's so many people in healthcare who are not willing to go back to the room to do that. They're just
yeah,
like, hey, I've done especially in the ER, like, hey, I've done them, I've written them off, they're done, like, no, it doesn't
next.
stop there, it's we have to there's so much more to I mean, if we're narrowing down nursing, there's so much more to nursing than just, the medications, the bedside RN. Like it's all encompassed, it's all of healthcare.
In my experience as a former ER nurse, if you don't educate the patient, they're just coming back.
And I mean, that's a whole story of why I left. Like
I know.
I had so many nurses in the ER just like, oh, well, why is this person here? Oh, this homeless person smells so bad. And I think I've told you that before. Like I became so disheartened with what I was hearing. And it's like, well, if this person is continually coming back, clearly we aren't meeting their needs. Like we need to
Yeah,
help them to figure out why they're here constantly for is it
exactly.
because they're homeless and they're seeking shelter and we need to provide them better resources to find shelter, or is it because they're drug seeking and we need to find them resources to deal with their addiction? Or there's
Yeah,
that's the role of the ER nurse, is like we have to meet their needs. Why are they here? We don't know why they're here. They're presenting here and let's figure it out for them. And that is what makes it really tough because, you have to be the social worker and the CNA and, you know,
yeah.
EVS and you have to be a little bit of everything in the emergency department. But that's also kind of what makes us special and gives us it's not just the CPR adrenaline, like it's the adrenaline of like let's figure out why
Yeah.
they're here and let's completely solve their problems so they
Oh
don't
yeah.
have to come back.
Oh yeah. I could talk about it forever. The average patient that's had CPR, the statistics were like 50% of them die within a year. And it's like
Yeah.
you've done ACLS, you've done all this effort, but you never taught them the core of their issue.
Yeah.
In a year, they're going to die anyway. It was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
ah,
I know, I remember reading a study like that, and also like it was the same like patients who had epinephrine, like the statistics were even higher
oh
for
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it's like
So
And that's all great that we like fix them for that moment, but like long term, like what
Yeah,
caused that? Did we treat the underlying issue for that? Yeah, for sure.
yeah, sweet. So did you buy the book today?
Absolutely, absolutely. And
Awesome. What
yes, when
version?
you wrote it, you emailed me and you're like, I made these updates and I'm excited to get it and to see the updates that you put in there.
Good. I thought it was more readable. I don't know if you got the online version or the paper, but it'll take you a couple days to get the paper edition. So
Oh, you mean like buying it on Amazon?
yes.
I bought the hardcover paper. I like to have that
What?
book in my hand. I'm having it
Good.
shipped. It's going on my shelf. I'm really excited. Like we're doing big things and I appreciate you speaking the things that most people in healthcare don't want to speak.
Right.
They're fear of retaliation. They're scared they're going to be blackballed. And if
I
we
have,
don't start speaking up, it's
yeah.
20,
Well,
30 years.
I have no aspirations. I have no aspirations. So there's a term for that, but it's not public consumption. But
Yeah,
basically, I'm untethered, and I think that's why it allows me to speak the truth. And my
same.
favorite pushback, I've had a few interviews, and they're like, "How do you think this book is going to be perceived when you're basically writing an indictment for healthcare?" And I said, I'm not writing the indictment. I'm sharing the indictment. And I said, the truth is any hospital system that is not willing to take an honest evaluation about the feedback that they're receiving from their most prominent bedside caregivers is not worth serving.
Yeah.
And I think too many people are servants to systems because they are tethered and they need their livelihood and they're
Yeah.
afraid to speak up and speak the truth. And that's one of the reasons why I don't think a lot of people comment on my work, but they write to me and they thank me. And if I'm the uncomfortable person in the room, I'm okay taking that on. But like
Yeah. Guilty.
this was written out of love. This was written out of care and compassion. And for too long, the narrative has been controlled by the PR firms in these institutions. And there's a large enough movement of people that disagree with those metrics, those optics. And it's like, what they don't realize is healthcare itself is dying. The erosion is present. I work in occupational medicine and I talk to mechanics. I talk to people that work in factories. I see people in all different walks of life, and when they have a medical emergency, not always, and some of them never. Like their first choice is not to go to the emergency room
Mhm.
because they think healthcare is full of crap, and
Yeah.
they will tell me like they're just going to take my money. I'm going to spend hundreds of dollars, and nothing's going to get fixed. And then I'm worse than when I started. And they
That's
would
the
rather take
norm.
the risk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's more normal than like actually like wanting to go and get, we are in this system of nobody wants to invest in healthcare unless
Yeah.
it's like the corporate profit side of it.
No.
And we are a nation of supposedly, the most intelligent and established and,
I know.
first
Yeah.
world. But
Yeah.
we can't even, when you think about the actual numbers of emergency room visits and doctors visits and um how many people are coming and not receiving the actual care that they need. Oh, sorry, my
Yeah.
sister's calling. Um,
We're almost done.
I probably told her, oh yeah, 11, 20 or something, I'd be done. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, those numbers are just staggering. And
Yeah.
the fact that all that money and time, profit, all of that is all about the hospitals and the systems
Yeah.
rather than anyone else, literally anyone else. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just mind-boggling how the United States runs its healthcare.
I agree. I could talk to you all day, but our time's up.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I'm glad you got the book. I hope people see that this is not as much of an indictment as, a warning. And
Yeah.
like these types of things are the movement, like joining safe staffing, being a part of a coalition, finding ways to say, how do we make this better? And I love it. I think you're doing everything that we're talking about, Ashley and I. You got agency and ownership, authorship. I mean, and that's one of the things that I just like so much about you is that I feel like without my help, you're doing everything I would say. It's awesome.
It takes a village. Like we all have to work together. There is
Yeah.
like I'm constantly in touch with some of the most prominent voices right now who are trying to change healthcare, and we just have to keep going. We have to
Yeah.
keep,
Yeah.
there's not anyone else who's gonna advocate for these positive changes. So
Yeah. Yeah. I'm here. Anything you need, Amber. Thank you so
perfect.
much.
Same. I am here. I will share the data. We'll get this done.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Thank you so much for having me on.
Always.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. My next guest is here. He's going to sit down right next to me. Some of you don't know my friend Jeff Bowler, but he's one of our sponsors. He's a realtor here in Indiana, and he's actually one of our sponsors for the book signing event, for the coalition, and he's
For
about
all
to
of
sit down
For all of it.
for all of it.
That's right, for all of it.
Okay, this is going to be very informal. Apparently, he's going to like put his arm around me. Can everybody see me, or is it Ashley's all I see? Okay, good. I'm trying to set it, but anyway. All right,
Oh, you wanted to
Jeff-
do it bigger?
Jeff is pretty close. Very close. This is awkward. So
This is all good.
thank you. I
Yeah.
had bad breath earlier. Kind of wish I did still. So have you heard of my new book?
I have heard of your name.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
It's about healthcare. Do you
Yes.
you ever been sick?
I have been sick.
Okay, you do not work in healthcare.
I do not work in healthcare. My wife works in healthcare. She's
Okay.
an orthopedic RN.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I-
So that's exciting.
So she understands healthcare.
She understands healthcare, and I am her. When she comes home, she tells me all the things that happened in her day,
Yeah.
and so I listen to her and react to her, not knowing anything about healthcare, but I know that it's broken.
And
Right?
she
I know.
struggles, doesn't she?
She does. She struggles a lot. She struggles with the fact that she's put in to situations that are not healthy. She's put into situations that are unfortunately bad for her. They're they not only are they unhealthy, but they could cause her harm.
They're
And
unsafe, aren't
They're
they?
unsafe. That is correct. Yeah, 100%.
Has your wife been injured working?
She has, sure.
Okay.
She's been just not too long ago. She had to wheel a very obese person down to where they were leaving
Yeah.
a
exit.
discharge. Sorry.
Yeah, that's
I
common.
I forget all of the
term.
the terms that but
It's okay.
she didn't have any help, and she's little. She's 5'2", maybe, I don't know, I probably shouldn't say, but maybe like 100 something
Paula's
pounds.
listening.
100 something pounds.
Do not
low
under-
hundreds,
Do
low
not
hundreds.
underestimate his wife.
But I mean, she is not, and here she is struggling with a 350-pound
Yeah.
plus person, and that should not have been, she shouldn't have had that job, right?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's not good. And so I am constantly hearing stories from her. I could probably write them.
You could. I
I,
think you could.
I think I probably could. So, you
I
know,
need it.
you would have could. So, I mean, she tells me these things all the time. She tells me about how decisions are made and how doctors do things that they shouldn't do. And, it's just, it's, unfortunately, uh, it's terrible. It's terrible stuff. So,
But I do know where your expertise lies in,
haha.
right?
Yes,
You own at least one business, right?
that's right. That's right.
Do you own two still?
I own two still, yes. I own
What?
two businesses, yes.
So, business exists for what?
To make money.
That is true. And I hope people understand, even though I wrote an entire chapter about financial failure, I believe hospitals have every right to make a profit. And I think if you're going to be in business, you're going to be open, you've got to have income. Like
Absolutely.
at the end of the day, like you can't raise your family, you can't do this or that. But I also think, as a business owner, you have a responsibility to your employees to create environments in which they thrive.
Correct.
And I know for a fact some of the people that work for you and they thrive.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you've created a business where people feel safe.
Correct. And I've created a business where the people that work with me, they can come to me, they feel like they can come to me at any point with anything.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's funny is how this parallels in my personal life. I've got this guy who's doing well for himself. I don't think you're the wealthiest person I've ever met,
No.
but Jeff's not hurting. Okay?
No,
I got to be honest with
I
you.
don't care to be the wealthiest person you've ever met,
Jeff's the okayest business owner I know. He's not like struggling.
No, no.
Right.
I
And we don't,
struggle at times, but I think everybody does, right?
Yeah.
But that's only because my needs versus wants sometimes have an issue,
Yeah.
right?
yeah. So Jeff helped me in the sale of at least three
Mhm,
homes.
mhm.
And every time, like he came in with this business plan, a marketing plan, and by the time it was done, I was just overwhelmed. And like every time I went to sell a house, we'd find a buyer in like a day or two. Like
Mhm.
and I could say the market was crazy. I could say things this or that, but like I always went to Jeff, and it was just beautiful for me. And it's like he has a network of people that work for him, his employees, but even larger network of contractors, business owners that willingly do Jeff's projects. Why do these contractors choose you over the next guy?
Yeah, I think a lot of that is because I respect them, right?
Yeah.
And I don't disrespect them, right? So
Yeah.
by not disrespecting them, I'm respecting them, and I'm respecting them as a person that provides a good quality service. Now, that being said, if you're not providing a good quality service, I will call you out on it. And I do not hesitate to do that because at the end of the day, that's going to show bad on me if you're not going to do a good job for my clients. But the ones that do a good job for my clients, I want to hold on to them.
You do,
Those are
don't
like
you?
gold. Yeah.
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 And I hope as healthcare people, you see the parallels automatically. Like if I had an administrator that didn't just have an open door policy, but had an open door that people used, I would feel safe,
Mm.
right? But truth is a double-edged sword. I love truth. I believe in truth. But I'll tell you what, I hate truth. You know, because sometimes yeah, I'm told the truth that I did something wrong or that
Yeah, and then you
I
have to be held
disappointed.
accountable.
Yeah. So
That's hard.
yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever been wrong?
Yes. Oh, yeah. I've been wrong several times in my
Yeah.
life. And the key is to learn from it,
To
right?
learn, yeah.
So, and to not do it again, or at least try really hard not to do it again. But like I've had situations where I had a friendship with a client, and unfortunately, I let that friendship I wasn't professional enough with that person, and they felt like I wasn't taking their situation seriously enough, right?
Okay.
And so and and it was just I need to remember, hey, what I'm doing needs to be professional. The relationship between you and me is one thing, but the fact of the matter is you're trying to sell your house or you're trying to buy a house, and that's the key. That's the point, right?
That's the point of our relationship
Correct.
for the sale of the house.
Correct.
And one of the things you would do is you would walk through the house and you would say, we need to fix this, this, and this. And then I
Yes.
would say, well, I'm willing to fix half of it, but not all of it. And you're like, okay. And I remember that joke where you can have it fast, you can have it good, or you can have it cheap. And he's like, so you have three choices. You can only pick two of the three. And he's like, you're only going to do half. You're going to get it cheap and you don't get as much for your house. I was like, okay, maybe I could do all of them. But if you don't trust a guy like that,
Yeah.
that's willing to tell you honest truth, right? You got to build some kind of level of like trust. And I've known Jeff long enough that if he told me I needed new carpet, I would just buy it. I just would not like whatever, like because he knows.
Yeah.
And I think if I told him to take a medicine, he might take it. I don't know. But I mean,
if it was going to
because
help me.
because we're honest with each other,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And our friendship is an example, I think, of what truth can be like because it's not easy,
No.
but there's just something about integrity that says, and I gotta tell you, I worked in one hospital unit with a guy, happened to be a guy, but he took over the unit and he went to bat for every single staff person he had there. And that guy was able to get travel nurses and resource nurses to step down from their jobs to work for him.
Mm.
And as a travel nurse, like the money was not why, but it was that safe environment. They were able to land on a unit where they could breathe and they could feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
And that psychological safety, it allows people to flourish in their profession.
Yeah, I think that's true.
And your
Because-
realtors are flourishing.
Well, and I think that's you've really identified a key there, because if they feel safe and they feel trusted and they feel respected, then that's they don't have to. They can do their job like they should, right? There's no encumbrances. There's no nothing holding them back, right? There's no mental instabilities.
They're not quiet quitters, are they?
No.
Not at all.
No.
Do you incentivize them in any ways?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, my whole thing is that when one of one of my realtors does a good job, I want to praise them, and I want to encourage them, and I want to um, show them that what they've done is awesome, right?
Yeah.
So we do a lot of like I'll take them out to lunch and celebrate a big win.
Yeah.
We get together as a team And we're constantly putting people up,
Yeah.
so yeah.
And I'll tell you, that's one of the things that really left a like a red flag for me in healthcare is when they stopped doing the team meetings
Mm.
and they stopped doing the what were they called, the community meetings where like everybody came and you got to talk about what's going on, and they stopped them because everybody had complaints. And it's like, well, they don't have any kind of avenue to say what's going on with them. And then you have this town hall meeting and you're like, why is everyone so negative? And I'm like, because everybody's negative every day. You've just never given them a platform to speak up.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think that's a healthy sign. I love you.
I love you too.
Thanks for being a sponsor.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Thanks for
Very excited about your book because one of the things that I think is necessary for change is issues have to be identified, right?
Yeah.
In order for problems to be solved, they have to be identified. They have to be
Yeah.
talked about. They have to be, discussed.
Yeah.
And that's the only way that change can occur is if you bring something out into
Yeah.
the open.
Yeah.
And so,
So if you ignore a problem, it becomes a much bigger problem. And then it becomes a systemic problem.
yes.
Just like our friend Chris
yes.
was just recently in the hospital. He started off with a cough,
Yeah.
and then he was told
He had walking pneumonia. And then he had mono.
And then like the next day I'm getting a call and he's in the hospital.
Yeah.
He had like endocarditis.
Yes.
And
correct.
he ended up on the verge of sepsis.
Yes.
And now he was supposed to be here today.
Yes.
He's going to be the Three Stooges.
Yeah.
But he's got a PICC line in his arm. He's going to be on antibiotics for 6 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like, I don't know. Healthcare is that living example of like, if you have one thing wrong with you, you probably ought to get it checked out before it turns into
Yeah.
something
If
else.
it's not getting better, then you need to keep working on it. Right.
And I think that's true in business. That's true in your
Yes.
relationships with people.
Yeah.
And like for me, personally, you're a friend. But in the example of like things that I look at, the like the policies and the investigations that I go into, like what makes one hospital maybe better than another or one business better than another. It's like you've got that it factor, and I think you create such a sense of safety in the people around you that everybody's thriving.
Yeah.
And
I think that's correct.
It's elusive in a lot of businesses.
Well, I think a lot of businesses, they just set it up and think that it will just run, it'll just be successful just because of itself, right? Just
Yeah.
because they're solving a problem, right? But anybody can solve a problem, right?
Yeah.
It's, how do you solve it in the best possible way? And then continuing to look at, okay, have things changed?
Yeah.
With that problem, do I need to revamp how I'm doing things, right?
Yeah.
Do I need to go the extra mile, right? What
Yeah.
are the things that I need to change in order to make sure that I'm continuing to address
Yeah.
the problem? Right?
So in closing, really, I think we got a few more minutes, but Jeff is a relocation specialist. So I know this, whatever's going all over the world or the country, but like anyone moving to Indiana
Yes.
needs to talk to Jeff. When I
Come
say
to Indiana,
when I
it's
say
lovely.
when I say relocation specialist, like that, like you've got to understand his entire framework.
Yeah.
Like where's a good hotel to stay if you're visiting?
Right.
Where's
Where
the
the restaurants good?
Where's a good hotel if you're going to have to stay there for a while?
Yeah, right. Do you
Those
need
are
it?
two different hotels.
Yes. Do you need an Airbnb? Because I have several.
I have several. I mean, and then just like, I don't know, who's the best guy to do your home inspection?
Yeah.
He's probably had 5 different guys
Yeah.
because those guys change a little bit. Some are
They do.
good for a while and then they start to slack off.
Wow. And there's different, you got to make sure that you have the ones that have the right qualifications, right?
Yeah.
because the ones that are certified, those are the ones that you want to be doing business with, that are insured and bonded, because stuff does go wrong with inspections, right?
Yeah.
How many times have you bought a house and the inspector missed something,
Yeah.
right? Well, the ones that are inspected and bonded, or insured and bonded, those inspectors, they have insurance.
Yeah.
And so those are, if they miss something, you should go back to them and say,
Yeah.
hey, you missed this. And
Yeah.
guess what? You're going to fix it.
This is the exception to the rule. Like you look at his 3% and you're like, wow. But like, he's the guy you call at 2 a.m. and like, something happened to my storage unit. And then he's like, don't worry, I know a guy,
Right.
but don't become his friend. Do not, because he'll call you on a random Tuesday and go, hey, Matt, can you help me move a couch? It's not a couch if it folds out to a bed.
Yeah, that is a
Do you remember that?
That's a sofa bed. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
That was before you
He-
got your back hurt.
Yeah, he's a good realtor. Don't be his friend.
Thank you, man.
All right. Thank you, Jeff. We got about 10 minutes till our 3 o'clock's here. That's Jennifer. Ashley, do you have anything you want to say?
I thought that was incredibly relevant. I think that respect is such a key point, something that we actually don't talk about in healthcare, but that's exactly what nurses provide. It's exactly what we're asking for, the respect. That's what patients want. Patients want to be heard, they want to be listened to, they want respect to be met wherever they are. And that in itself between patient and nurse is what exists. But I think that's what nurses are asking for from higher ups. I think that's what we're asking for from the executive suite. I think that what we're asking for is to be respected for what we do and acknowledged for that. And the fact that it can be created, and it is created not just by Jeff in Indiana. There are good companies, good business owners, philanthropists, people that care about the environments that they create. It's not unrealistic to promote that into the world and ask for that in healthcare. That's not unrealistic to ask for or even demand in healthcare, because that's exactly what we deserve. So it was really great to have Jeff here, and it's so exciting to be talking about how healthcare dies and really just moving this movement forward.
I really appreciate you, Ashley. We've got just 10 more minutes, so I'm just waiting for Jennifer to come. Today's been a lot already. We've had so many different good interviews. We talked with Robert about the math on staffing, and honestly, Robert Wingo's work is definitely worth following. The math is technical, and it can get really complicated. I'm not going to lie to you, but the more you understand the math behind what's wrong, the more you see the real effects of it. And I think the greed part of the math, when I talk about that as being one of those collapses, it's like, the continual push for more and more is going to lead to its own inevitable death, because you can only extract so much money from a population. You can only take so much from a group. And I think a lot of people are saying no, and they're just stepping away. And once a system loses trust, once a system loses that public goodwill, I think it's over. Getting it back is going to take 10 times the effort. And that's a growing sentiment in our country. And I think that scares me the most, is the finances. Some of the moral injury, I think forgiveness is well within a lot of people's of minds, but I don't think it's going to be it's going to require effort. One of the questions I get asked all the time is like, what are the easy solutions? What's the short, step that's gonna make a change? And I have different answers. I talked about truth this morning as one, but like if you want to talk about a functional, uh, short answer to the question, it's honestly change your board. Um, you know, and if you're running a healthcare system and you're watching this, like I'm sorry no one's ever told you this, but you need a medical provider on your board and you need a nurse on your board. And that should just be standard. Nurses are the most underrepresented uh, missed opportunity in every healthcare system. We are the most trusted profession in the world. And the reason we are is because of things like today, because we cut through all the BS and we tell you the truth, right? And you need somebody on that board that's incentivized that same way to say, let's be honest about where we are today. You need the financial guys, you need the bean counters, like we need all that. And we need people with the business acumen that says, this is what keeps our business alive. This is not an indictment on an individual. This is an indictment on systems issues that are going to lead to decay. So, how healthcare dies is really our choice. It's our choice. It's not just mine, but it's a collective. And I hope that you see that. There's so much to say about being authors, not just literal authors that write books, but to have that agency in ourself that say that we're going to write the future that we want and that we expect. And that includes like the manifestos at the end of the book where I talk about staffing floors, making a 1-to-4, 1-to-5 med surge ratio law. Like that should do it because it's a safety intervention and it's saving you millions of dollars, not just in litigation, but in patients' deaths and everything. Like having qualified healthcare providers like nurses and doctors that aren't squeezing out every inch of margin, but are actually given some time in their day to critically think about what they're doing for patients and how they can, like, what nurses live with patients. We see trends. We subconsciously identify changes in our patients' behavior, and then we act on it. And a lot of times we can save someone's lives before they ever have a code or a stroke or an event because we're on top of it. So we're getting to a point in the day where I'm just excited. We have a lot more interviews coming, and I haven't even looked on the book. I'm so excited about what we're doing. I want to look and see if we've sold any more. So I'm going to turn my screen off and let Ashley talk for a minute. I'll tell you in just a minute.
Well, I don't have too much to say, but we're going to pull up this book here and see how it's selling. We had a wonderful coalition meeting over our lunch break here in Indiana, and I myself am not a resident of Indiana, but being able to sit in on this meeting and hear business owners of Covington, hear healthcare practitioners of Covington, and hear congressmen and representatives of the state acknowledge the struggles of rural America and acknowledge the struggles of healthcare being accessible to people. I think it's just really, really cool to be in rooms where these conversations are happening and where people are thinking outside of the box. What is happening in Covington is there's already small businesses that are taking the stress off the hospital and putting, the care in their own hands and offering mental health services and red light therapy, IV hydration, PCPs, school physicals, those kind of things, and just taking it, off the plate of healthcare and really putting it into the hands of the community and giving back to the community. And I think that is really the direction of not just Indiana, not just rural America, not just the US, but it is the direction of the entire world. And it starts in communities, it starts in villages, it starts with knowing that we all have the power to heal ourselves, and that when we collectively come together in community and share our knowledge and share our resources, that so much can be done. That the only reliance is not on the healthcare system that is collapsing around us, that we really can come together in community and grow, heal, and fight this big monster that feels like it's taken over.
Yay. So the book's doing well. There's a couple things about the metrics. If you purchase the book with the Kindle app, we get the immediate hit that you purchased it. But the way Amazon works, if you buy a paperback or a hardback, it's not till the day they print it. So a lot of times it's 48 hours before I know the exact number. But we hit the bestseller list over the weekend, and what's funny is every day you kind of drop a little bit and whatnot, but we are a bestseller. And I got this local newspaper ad. It wasn't an ad. I was a front page on the, what is this newspaper? The Fountain County Neighbor. So even though it won't show it. Yeah, I know. Anyway, we're in a newspaper. I'm going to reach out to our speaker and see where they're at, okay?
Matt, congratulations on making front page of the newspaper. Congratulations on being a bestseller. It's important for voices to get out there, for us to really be telling the truth about what's happening in healthcare. And I know the end of your book is a call to action, a call for people to tell their story. And if you are watching, if you are following along and you have any idea of being an author, or you think that your story needs to be told, you need to start writing. Absolutely. Start documenting, start telling your story, start getting on social media. The more people hear this narrative, the more people understand what's happening in healthcare, the more empowered the public will be. And writing your story is also part of healing. For healthcare workers that want to make a difference in this world, feel their hands are tied, that maybe feel like going to work isn't necessarily the way that they help people. When you start to tell your story, when you start to advocate, you are really helping. And so, Matt, you were such a great example of that. And thank you for leading this and being such a representative in your own state, in your own community, and nationally, being a voice too.
Thank
cool
you.
to know you.
Well, I'm looking at the book, and I think it's a good time in the day that we talked about some of the manifestos. The page 202 of the book, I write a letter to nurses, and I want us to talk about it. I think for nurses, you've been told that you're the problem. You were not. You were placed in systems that made safe, ethical care mathematically impossible, and then told to be more resistant when that broke your heart. You were handed burnout and compassion fatigue as if your distress or private weakness, not a reasonable response to public wrongdoing. Here's what this manifesto asks of you. Name the wound accurately. Use the language of moral injury and institutional betrayal when it fits, so that your suffering is mapped to system causes, not to your character. Number 2, refuse to practice alone. Recovery and resistance are collective acts. Join or build circles, unions, professional associations, mutual aid networks, advocacy groups that align with your ethics. Step into authorship. Tell your stories in writings, in hearings, in boardrooms, in campaigns. Consider roles where you were where you were never invited, to board members, to candidates, to founders and educators. Anchor your non-negotiables. For your own life, boundaries, safe staffing, and ethical conditions. For the system, healthcare as an essential right, staffing floors, transparencies, and democratic governance. You're not asking for too much. You're asking for conditions under which your oath can mean something again. And while I'm here, I say, I have a similar letter for leaders. If you hold formal power in healthcare, whether it's a C-suite, a board, a union leadership, professional organizations, this chapter is an indictment. No, it is an invitation. You inherited and often benefited from a model that treated hospitals as businesses first and community infrastructure second. You have now seen where that model leads: closures, unsafe staffing, public scandals, and a workforce in a moral freefall. This manifesto demands of you, number one, adopt a utility mindset. Treat your organization as a regulated utility in spirit now, even before laws compel you to. Commit to universal access in your catchment area, transparent pricing and cost reports, capped margins tied to reinvestment rather than maximization. Submit to external oversight, support independent rate setting and budget commissions, public reporting on staffing and outcomes, and health data utility governance, where communities and workers hold actual voting seats. Hardwire safety and staffing. Move staffing from flexible costs to regulated standard. Implement evidence-based staffing committees with real authority. Publish ratios and unit by unit in real time. And tie executive incentives to safety and equity, not margin. And last, share power. Add nurses and community members as voting members on your board. Establish shared governance councils with decision rights over practice and staffing. Build long-term partnerships with community care hubs and faith-based organizations as co-owners, not vendors. If you're not prepared to move in this direction, be honest. You're choosing an extractive model that will continue to burn through nurses and communities until regulation stops you. And then I have one for the public. If you're reading this as a patient, a family member, a voter, or a community leader, this is about your life, not someone else's job. Healthcare is already 18 to 19% of the entire US economy. You're paying for it through tax premiums and wages that never reach you because they are diverted into employer-sponsored coverage and medical debt. You're also paying in closed maternity units, long ED waits, surprise bills, and rural hospital deserts. The manifesto's invitation for you: stop buying the myth that nothing else is possible. Other high-income countries run universal, largely public finance systems at lower cost and with better outcomes. Within the United States, we already regulate utilities and treat some health functions, like the Maryland hospital rates and Civica's drug utility, as public goods. Demand utility level regulation. Support policies that treat hospitals, core services, and health data as a public utility. All payer rate setting, global budgets, mandated staffing floors, price transparency, and public boards with community and worker seats. Stand with nurses and healthcare workers. When nurses strike for safe staffing, they are striking for your safety. When they run for office or seek board seats, vote for them. When they tell you the system is harming patients, believe them. And help make their demands public, not private. Your role is not to shop more cleverly in a broken system. It is to insist that healthcare be governed like a life and death utility that it is. I just think the message here is clear. Uh, we can demand more, and all we're getting right now is less.
Is Jennifer Johnson there?
I have not seen her yet. I reached out to her on LinkedIn. Have you seen her?
I don't see it. Do you have an email from her, you think?
Well, I'm looking.
She's pretty tired.
Yep. I have not seen it. Yes, if you can reach out to her. But no, she's not responded to me. She's not online. Could be a time zone issue. Oh, she's here. She's here. Hello, Jennifer. Are you here? You are live. You're muted.
Oh my gosh, there we are.
Oh, thank goodness.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know. I am so sorry for being late. I didn't know which Zoom meeting link was working.
I'm so sorry. I was
Okay.
trying to get it right.
Listen, it's not life or death. It's all good.
I know. We have Jennifer Johnson here. I'm so excited. I have a little introduction and then we'll hand it off to you, okay?
Sounds good.
You tell me when I'm wrong too, because I try to do these good. Jennifer Johnson represents new graduates stepping into units marked by high turnover and thin institutional memory, but also a deep sense of calling. How Healthcare Dies names the systemic pressures they're inheriting, while Transition to Hope is our upcoming book, offers a practical roadmap. We talk about you, self, and education and others for building sustainable practice. But Jennifer's an author, and I want to hear from you. I'm so excited.
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, there's nothing like authorship in nursing. It's a
Yes.
whole beast. So I wrote the book on nursing intuition, how to trust your gut, save your sanity, and survive your career. Burned out hard in COVID, and kind of thought, if I die, do my kids know why I continue to go to work at the front lines during this time? And so I started writing my good stories about nursing. And then very quickly the drama just spilled out because there was no more dam to hold it back anymore. And in looking at the stories, it was all just, okay, what's the common theme? What's the thread? I don't know. And listening to a podcast, and somebody else was talking about their book, Intuition at Work, but in the sense of office and realty and law. And I'm like, intuition at work. I use my intuition all the time at work. I was just like, oh, I think that's it. And so, sure enough, every single story had a little thread of intuition and kind of my learning journey along the way. And thought, I think I might be risking my license if I put this out there without a little bit of, data and some studies, thinking there might be one or two within the last 5 years. There was like 700
Wow.
on intuition, specifically in nursing. So I just was like, okay, well, if somebody's going to talk about it, I guess it'll be me. And that's kind of what started all this.
That's exciting.
It's nerve-wracking. You're like, so here's my trauma on display for everybody.
Yeah. But I think intuition is one of those misnomers. Like, it's kind of like people talk about soft skills. It's like it's hard to put a box around it and give it this scientific definition, but like there's something about it. Like, the recognition of like art when they say when they're trying to find out whether it's a fake or not.
Mhm.
It's a lot about intuition because the person making the evaluation, they're so used to seeing the original and the proportions and the imperfections that when they see a fake, it's like, oh, it's too perfect, or
Yeah.
the proportions are off. And those themselves kind of run in that mindset of like intuition because you know what you know. And then when something comes just slightly off, it's like, wait a second, you have to think about it. And then nursing intuition, I think, comes from living with the patient. We're there bedside for 12 hours,
Mm.
and sometimes you can't always point to a vital sign or a statistic or a lab result. You're just like, it's not how they were this morning,
Yeah.
you know? And
Yeah.
and you call a doctor and say something like that, they're going to be bedside because it's not a reportable offense. It's data at the bedside, and
Yeah.
they're going to come running because they don't know, but they
And
know you do.
if they don't, they will learn soon that you should be running when the nurses say, I don't know what's going on. It's just something's different. Vitals may be okay now, but
Yeah,
something isn't making sense. I don't know. And I tell people, worst comes to worst, it's not like I've ever gone to my docs in the ER and said, like, oh, my intuition is saying that something's up. I go, no, no, no. I'm just advocating for my patient. Something seems different. I'm a little bit worried, and there's actually been lots of studies recently. They're calling it more nurse worry
yeah,
as, as an indicator, which again is a little bit more palatable than intuition.
yeah,
It's a thing, and it's experience, it's pattern recognition, a bunch of different things. And if somebody's extra worried about somebody with a specific symptom or syndrome or pathophysiology, and you're like, well, that's kind of seems weird that they're extra worried about this like ectopic pregnancy, like that doesn't seem like a big deal to me. And you're like, no, no, the people who have got weird stories about random things and are extra worried about a certain thing, they've been burned. Ask them about their stories because they will tell you.
I'll tell you, it's terrible, isn't it?
Yes.
Oh man, I can just tell you've been through some things. You can't talk like this and not know it. So,
The
are you
joy
there,
of
Ashley?
and my kid running around with his iPad is
Oh,
the
okay.
first thing of summer vacation. So it's
Oh, that's good. So, have
it's
you had a chance to read the book?
I did. And it's one of those things where it just grabs you so quickly.
Yeah,
And you're just like, okay, somebody's putting a name to all the things that we've been saying and feeling for I mean, it's almost been 2 decades for me. Um, and it's just, we're finally saying something. We've known
yeah,
forever that something's been happening, that things aren't right. And it's finally time for us to bring our voices forward and to say something about it.
yeah. And I think that's really been my struggle. I started this research project in 2015, and then, I knew something was wrong, and I could speak on it maybe enough to confuse people, managers. I was friends with a CNO, and tried talking to her about what I was experiencing, and she's just, you're negative and you hate management, and
Oh,
I'm like, okay, but I am trying, like, the reason I'm having this dialogue with you is because I want to understand your point of view.
mhm.
But it never went anywhere. So forward that another 5, 10 years, COVID hit, and you know, that's where I say healthcare died for me. I was on a unit, no briefs. The CEO got $55 million, and I think I just broke. I'm like, this is it.
Yeah.
And then my research became much more intentional. And I started talking to CNOs that I didn't know, but I would be like, what about, undercover boss? Have you ever just gone to a unit to see what it's like? And they're like, huh. And then I met one.
Huh.
Huh?
We've been asking for people just to show up midnight, long
Yeah.
weekend, full moon Halloween forever.
But I met one. I met a CNO that did it, you know? And like he was like, he's like, yeah, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, I have a bedside shift. Half the people don't even know I'm the CNO. And he's like, it's hard. And he's like, then I go into meetings and I talk about it. Nobody wants to talk to me. He's just like, he's like, in leadership, there's a balance between, the bedside and what I call the boardroom. And it's like those they have opposing metrics sometimes. And the guys in the middle, the managers, directors, and executives, they're struggling. Like you want to talk about some moral burnout, those leaders are struggling a lot more than some of the bedside. Now I know some PTSD bedside nurses that are they'll probably never walk in a hospital again. I think they'd rather die at home. And it's like they're like agoraphobia, they're afraid. So, you know, the language is so intentional because it's taken me so long to be able to say it to myself. And the biggest complaint I've gotten along the way is that people said that they listened to other nurses complain, blah, blah, blah. Well, it's no different than my job. And I'm like, I'll take that. I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take it. And I did it long enough to where I could finally say no. Like, your job is asking you to work faster and harder. Your job is not telling you to compromise your moral ethics. And, finding that language was a game changer. So,
Yeah, it's hard. And, same thing, writing the book, doing entrepreneurship, speaking. I mean, I don't know about you, but the game is not to leave bedside. Like
yeah,
that's not the game. The game, I love bedside, part-time to three-quarter time, perfect.
yeah,
But like I can't do it full time. Like I really truly can't. And I don't know if anybody theoretically should be doing it full time because, you just get so
yeah,
worn out, and yes, you get comfortable, and but then kind of the incivility creeps in, and the exhaustion and the blindness to suffering creeps in, and we can't help it because it's the only way that we know how to protect ourselves is to kind of turn down the empathy just enough so that we can function, the patient's safe and the patient's cared for, and I don't go home crying every single day.
totally. And I think, burnout is one thing. And I think there's a lot of nurses that have it and they just need a week off. Like they need to just sit down, quit taking overtime shifts,
Mhm.
and do it. And I don't work in the hospital anymore, but I take care of patients. But like it's almost I'm not proud of what I do because I worked yesterday and I saw 3 patients, and it's like I've always wanted that. I'm just humble, but the fact that I worked at like level 1 trauma center because I wanted to prove that I was something. And
Mhm.
why was that so important to me? But like now I work in an outpatient OCMED office and it's like, am I half a nurse? No, I'm still a nurse. My
No,
expertise is required of me daily. I'm just not working as hard as I used to.
working to rule, not killing ourselves trying to go over and above and work ourselves to death, and kind of the stereotype that you're not a good nurse unless you give all of yourself, and leave nothing for your own family or yourself. It's a really horrific stereotype that unfortunately is still quite pervasive.
Yeah, yeah. It's tough. The book, we go into so many different things. We're talking just about healing, and that there's sections in the book about nurses just naming the wounds and then finding their circle. And as much as we want to talk about the system, I think we have to think about these individuals. And I always default to nurses because I am one, but like, we find the doctors and the unlicensed techs and housekeeping, everybody's feeling the pain points and they hear the conversations. I think it's obvious. And then I think about the patients and their family, and you bring your loved one to the hospital and your expectation is so high, but what you get is not always, the same. So
Yeah.
I I just care. And I think that's the other part is like with moral injury, the more you care, the more you do get hurt.
Yeah, it's hard not to get caught up in that loop too, right? Because then there's also the, oh, I'm suffering, so I must be a good nurse.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
struggling, and that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to struggle and we're supposed to work,
yeah,
and and that just shows you care. And you're like, really?
I know.
You want me struggling every moment of the day to show that I care, but yet that doesn't leave me in a great place to show up at work fully functional and 100% kind of on point and ready to rock and roll.
Yeah.
Uh, it's it's funny. I mean, you talk about loved ones. I've actually looked into trying to get a job into my hometown's ER, either as agency or maybe a casual spot, just because my parents are now 70. They will be eventually going to that hospital and not my hospital because I'm about an hour away. And, I want people to know who I am so that when my parents come in, they don't just shrug me off. And I'm already planning 6 steps ahead to be like, they will fall, they will have injuries, there will be more than likely a stroke at one point, just with my family's history. And I want ins to those hospitals so that I can be at the bedside and people go, "Oh my God, Jen, are you okay? Like, what's happening?" And so then you get the nurse out of their shell a little bit so that they know me and that I'm here to help. And this is my mom, this is my dad, this is my family member, this is who I'm caring for. And they go, "Oh, okay, um, you know, got it. Maybe we'll kind of try that extra little bit, so that maybe things don't fall through the cracks as much as they typically do."
I just wanted you to see Ashley's here and I wanted to give her a chance to talk to you. Do you have any questions, Ashley?
Oh gosh, we could go on forever.
Hello, Jen.
Hello, darling. How are you?
I know, we really could. I'm so good. It's wonderful to have you here. I wrote down a couple. You said the game is not to leave bedside.
Yeah.
I just think that's so profound right now. For me, if you're talking to me, if you're coming to my coaching, the game is to leave bedside. Like I am so scarred by the system that I just am like, I'm out. But my heart breaks. Like I still want to be there. And I'm so devastated that my PTSD is at an extreme that like to drive past the hospital makes me angry.
Yeah.
And to know that you and Matt are out there advocating, and the game is not to leave bedside.
Yeah.
It's to be healthy at the bedside.
Yes, functional at the bedside, you know,
Safe.
safe at the bedside, mentally, physically, emotionally safe at the bedside, psychologically safe at the bedside. What concepts?
Right. Yeah. And you also said something that really hit, and it hit in the coalition meeting that we had here a little bit ago. You said that sometimes we have to turn down our empathy to care for ourselves. And I actually think that's something we're seeing globally, even outside of healthcare. People
Oh,
are
for sure.
turning down their empathy. They don't care as much about someone else. They don't care as much about their neighbor. They don't care as much about the car in front of them.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And ironically, I feel like that trickles back down to us not caring as much about ourselves.
Wow. But is that a nursing thing? Is that a female thing? Is that a generational thing? I mean, as an elder millennial, I very much am very aware that my feelings of productivity are linked to just how busy I am and how much I'm taking on, and that I'm more than likely I am overworking myself, in the variety of chaos that I do on the daily. And I'm being pulled in six different directions. Part of it is the ADHD thrives in that. It allows for little bits of hyper focus, and then I can get things organized, and it does open up a lot of opportunities because I am kind of so varied. Um, but then I also have to sit down and go like, what's happening? Where am I? What is going on? Um, and sometimes the empathy, like it very much is, um, it's not life or death. And that's where my expectation of concern lies on a daily basis, just because, my emerge experience, you actually have seen life and death, you go, oh, me taking 9 extra minutes in the line for coffee is not something to be getting so, over involved about. It is coffee, and granted, coffee is life. But knowing full well that the more than likely teenager who's going to be serving me said coffee has nothing to do with this. They're also just a cog in the wheel, as am I. Do I enjoy being yelled at work when there's something that is completely out of my control? No. So I don't typically tend to get over uppity, only because like my nervous system, we run kind of high at baseline. So if I can avoid any tweaks up, I'm gonna avoid any tweaks up. And even at work, it really does take a lot to kind of make me go, huh, okay, let's go. And you really don't want me doing that because, that means things are not great. But, operating at this level of chill takes a long time to get to. And, but then you also see how much that helps other people, especially other new nurses, other people coming who are new to the ER system. They're kind of getting uppity. Like, I mean, it was on fire last night. Like, there must have been 30 people in the waiting room of this very small hospital. It's all paper charting, so it's a complete and utter gong show. And I'm just looking at everybody. I'm like, hey, as long as everybody is fine and safe, nobody's dying that's not supposed to be dying, we're cool. Like, just we will get through it. It is just one at a time. We can only do so much. Everybody is seeing that it is on fire. And it just, again, maybe it's just Canadian healthcare where, the expectation to wait 4 to 6 to 8 hours to see a physician nowadays is the norm. It is not the exception anymore. But yeah, like it just everybody needs to just take a downer. Just we're all still struggling coming off of COVID. I mean, the entirety of the world is traumatized to varying degrees. But yet we've all shared this collective insanity, once in a generation crazy. And unfortunately, it's tweaked us all, I think, for the worse because it very much became about me. What am I doing? Where am I going? How come I'm not getting there faster? Why is the wait so long? There's no thinking outside of ourselves, and I'm finding that a lot. You'll be having a code situation and you're in the middle of compressions and the whole team is there, and which means the whole department's there, and you've got a family member coming in screaming at you because they asked for ice water for their loved one 30 minutes ago. And you're trying your darndest not to lose it because you're literally in the middle of life and death. And this person seems to think that their issue is first and foremost, and they literally can't see exactly what's going on in front of them. So it gets very frustrating. So tamping down the empathy, it it's a necessary in order to survive long term in nursing, unfortunately. And it's a skill that we have to learn.
Yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you. I think everything you're bringing to nursing education, to intuition is really powerful in this movement because we can't move forward without acknowledging the fact that what nurses bring to the table is the empathy and the intuition. Everyone wants to know, what do we measure? What do we measure? It's immeasurable.
Yeah.
The care and the compassion that we give is immeasurable and it's needed. And it's what's missing and it's what the hospital system is squeezing out of us.
We're becoming so task oriented that it's just, let me make sure that this box, this box, this box are checked off because that's what I'm being measured on. And that, oh, what do you mean it took you 2 hours to give that stat medication? Well, unfortunately, we were in a code situation, but because that patient's chart is not linked to this patient's chart, if you're just to look at it on its own, yes, it looks like I sat around doing nothing for 2 hours while a stat medication was ordered, but it doesn't take into account the entirety of that moment in the ER. So it gets frustrating that way. But like the soft skills, I mean, the soft skills are the hardest ones to learn. There's nothing like trying to come up with a semi-genuine connection with somebody within 2 moments of meeting them. And then, and being upbeat and happy and remembering, okay, they are sick, they do need this, but I do want to update them as to like next steps so that they kind of understand, what we're waiting for and how the process is going to go and generalities as to what the next steps are. So they don't get frustrated and upset and start to yell at me. But it's hard. Like it is just such a hard go when you are carrying that weighted backpack of COVID experiences and other negative experiences within nursing that accumulate for every second that you're nursing, there's the risk of something exceedingly traumatic happening that you're going to carry with you for a lifetime. And so it's just like, just I don't know what to do other than to turn down the empathy. And then, but again, you have those moments where all of a sudden either it's turned up for you, that patient or their situation is hitting too close to home. It's reminding you of a different situation, or you just have genuinely connected with these people, and all of a sudden, like the empathy is up, and you're just like, okay, why am I like tearing up? And I'm like, okay, I need to like take a step back. Like, they don't need to be comforting me because I'm tearing up and they've got their loved one, they've got more things to worry about than the nurse
Yeah.
tearing up.
Yeah. It's beautiful. I think you just have so much to bring to the table. I'm so glad you came. Thank you.
Oh,
Have
no
you seen
problem.
our website, hopeassessment.org?
I have not. I will have to check it out.
There's an opening video and the hands come together and it makes the heart.
Ah,
I just think you need to see it.
listen, so this was just a one-off photo that again, you pay your book designer, you're like, I don't know what to put on the cover of the book. It's
Right.
nursing institution. It's a really weird kind of connotation. And so she came up with this photo and I'm just like, I love it. Absolutely
Right.
perfect.
Yeah.
And the universe for me is very, very funny. So it likes to throw now the little heart symbol all the time at me.
Yeah.
And just went to London and Amsterdam and Edinburgh for Health Europe. And sure enough, we ended up stopping at this pizza place, and I have to post the photo, but it's this like big light up sign, and it's the heart. I'm like, uh-huh, uh-huh.
It's the universe.
Very, very funny universe. I'm still away, but somehow I'm still right here.
Exactly. Well, you're where you're supposed to be.
And it's always the feeling, right? And you pick up that shift, you're like, oh man, did I pick up that shift for good reason? And then something happens, you're like, nope, I was exactly where I was supposed to be at the right point. So it's hard to balance saying no and then having those moments of, oh no, I was absolutely supposed to be on that shift. And you're like, oh,
I know.
there's no winning. There's
There's
no
always
winning out there.
what they call those divine appointments.
Ooh, I
That's
like
what I'm
that.
used to it.
Oh, mine's just the right place, right time.
I gotcha.
Have that moment, you're like, oh, okay, it was my skill set. It was my knowledge. There was a pediatric kid that needed an IV and everybody else was struggling. And here I happen to get it on the first go. And you're like, okay, yep. Clearly right place, right time.
Yeah.
That's what needed to happen.
Well, good. Do you have any questions, Ashley? Anything else? We just want to
She's
say
tired of
thank
me
you.
talking because I could go on forever.
Oh, it's beautiful. I could keep listening. All right. All right. Well, we just wanted to thank you and your book. I can't wait. I haven't had a chance because I've been obsessively writing mine. So
No stress. Do you know how many of these books? So I've got an ongoing collection now of like signed copies, and Ashley's is one of them. And I'm just like, I there's not enough time in the world. And I'm just like,
no.
one of these days, it'll probably be after I retire. And I'm like, I've got to keep busy. Let me read all the books from 2020. So
Exactly.
sweet.
I've got a few of those myself. Yeah. Okay. Well, we're gonna let you go.
All right.
We got our next presenter, Ashley.
Enjoy.
All right. Thank you so much, Jennifer.
Yeah. Bye, guys.
Bye. Hold on. What's your question?
What time is it?
It is 3:35. We're here till 5,
Oh, okay, all right.
unless you want to walk home.
I'm not walking out.
All right. My stepson decided to stay till 5. Now he's realizing what that means. So I'm excited. My next presenter is in the room, Ashley Chancellor. She has lived and written about a pattern many nurses recognize: chronic self-sacrifice, blurred boundaries, an identity built around being just a nurse who always says yes. See, we have a joint venture that we're preparing called Pathway to Healing. We have another one called Transition to Hope Informed Care. And those books reframe this pattern through what I call the Harless method. It's the oxygen mask metaphor, treating yourself, self care, as a clinical responsibility rather than indulgence. Ashley Chancellor, what do you think?
I think I am on fire for this movement. I'm ready. It's really exciting. Thank you for having me here. Thank you for doing the research and finding the data to support what we're all feeling and sensing and intuitively know that the healthcare system is collapsing.
Thank you. Yes, yes. What's funny is we met through a third party. Like I'm all over LinkedIn, you're all over TikTok. The chances of our paths ever crossing was like two tornadoes meeting up. And I gotta be honest, there's very few people you meet that really change your life. But like I would, I've told you this before, but some of the concepts that you believe in before I met you, I probably would have made fun of I call it the woo-woo, but it's like shortly after we met, I got assaulted by a patient, and you had a coaching business and you offered to coach me. And I think every week I just came and was like, I got nothing else to do. Let's try it. And I quickly got to the point where I looked forward to those sessions, and the the guided imagery, the physical, like somatic work, things that I didn't even understand we were doing, but we were like resetting my nervous system. And I think uh like it's easy to just say you changed my life, but like that intersection for me was like the first time I was ever open to the concept of like, maybe I should settle down. Maybe I should shut up. Maybe I don't need to be the loudest voice in the room. I just need to listen. And you know, what's the magic?
I don't think that there is a lot of magic, as the research is showing, as somatics is becoming a word that we talk about. We do understand that calming the nervous system is probably the number one step for 97% of sick human beings. Sickness comes from stress, it comes from over-oxidization, it comes from your body not being in the right state to heal itself or act well. And so that all comes from an environment of stress and strain. Our government puts it in us. The stress of fear of going to the hospital puts it in us, and the fear of paying our bills and taxes and all of that causes this subconscious stress that we don't even realize, on top of the physical things that we do to our bodies. I didn't find breath work or meditation as a science relief. I found it as something over the years that I knew calmed me down. I am a very high strung person, I'm very high stress. I'm like always just like going and running. But I knew that anytime I went through a guided meditation, I could calm down. And so incorporating that in coaching was step one before really understanding that that was the basis for really bringing your presence and attention to where we are. And the goal is to get it into all hospitals so that we're starting every shift with a minute of breath work,
Yeah.
anything to just kind of calm yourself down. And so, Matt, if you don't mind, maybe I'll invite those that are watching.
Can I do it too?
All right. So if
I
while
was
you're at
hoping you'd
home,
do
we'll just
this.
take a little minute. Yeah, please. Yeah. So wherever you are, whatever you're doing, just go ahead and put your feet down, let your legs dangle. Allow your bottom to soften in the seat that you're in and lean into the back. Close your eyes or find something soft to look at. Begin to notice your breathing. This isn't hippie or woo-woo. We're not going anywhere weird. The only thing you are doing as a human being is paying attention to your body breathing. When you're ready, you can begin to take an inhale on your own, using your muscles to expand your belly and fill your lungs. And when you're ready, exhale. Together, we will all take a nice, slow, deep inhale at your own rate, knowing that we're all here. We've all come in the advocacy of healthcare. And as you release, know that you are the only one responsible for you. Take another moment here in this piece. And when you're ready, you can begin to wiggle your toes and your fingers and maybe smile and come back around.
Did you go to sleep?
Oh, no.
Avery's like sleeping over here. He's like super chill. Say hi.
Wonderful.
Anyway, you know, we can talk about so many different things, but you talk about the pause, right? And you know, the pause in your day doesn't have to be 30 minutes. It doesn't have to be much of anything, but for you, when you're feeling like it was introduced to me maybe 2 years ago, but when you're overwhelmed by your shift, instead of working harder, the best thing you can do is stop and take a breath. And I always thought that was the wrong answer until one day I just tried it. And it's kind of like that old story where the two guys are cutting down trees. The one guy stops every day for a half an hour, disappears, and when he comes back, he gets to cut more trees down than the other guy. And they're like, "What'd you do?" He's like, "I sharpened my saw." I'm just like, that pause is just that moment where your mind stops for a minute, you breathe. I think you add that hope assessment about where am I showing up, and then you go right back to it. You've created yourself to be a sharper saw, and then you cut through. You know, those tasks are going to be there, right? And you're always going to feel that sense of overwhelm because there's always something you could be doing. And sometimes the oxygen mask story is my favorite of all the stories that you tell, because when you're on the airliner at 40,000 feet, the air things drop down. And what do they teach you to do? You know, you don't put it on your child, you put it on yourself, because you have oxygen and you can put it on your child, you know, and if you put it on your child first, they may or may not help you, you know, and in healthcare, in anywhere, any job, you have to be the best version of yourself. And, you know, when you lose something in your mental clarity, you've got to find a way to just get it back. So, as a best-selling author, tell me what it's like. Uh, what's, I don't know. I still put my socks on one at a time. Nothing changed today. Give me some advice.
Yeah, no, I think that's probably really great advice. I think that you still, actually, I think that's the perfect advice, Matt. It goes back to everything. What do you do? What do you do when you're a nurse that goes in and saves lives?
Yeah,
What do you do when you're a doctor that can save lives? What do you do when you're a best-selling author? What do you do when you're a world famous actor? You get up in the morning and you take care of yourself first.
yeah,
Somewhere along the lines, we have totally missed this or forgotten this, but we all know what to do. We know what to tell other people to do, but are we in fact feeding ourselves well, resting, hydrating our bodies, moving our bodies, and strengthening our heart, our gut, our muscles? And I think as a healthcare community, it would behoove us all to remember that we are just human. And even as nurses and doctors and techs and respiratory therapists, that it really does come back to caring for ourselves first so that we can show up with full cups to care for everyone else.
I love that. I love that. So, did you read the book, How Healthcare Dies?
Of course. Of course.
I've seen your book. It's got highlights all over it. So,
I love this book. This book impacted me a lot like Todd Otten said. Once I picked it up, I couldn't put it down because every chapter just leads you to pull to the next one. You want to know what else. What else has already been happening in healthcare? What else is documented? What other way is the budget cut that people already know that you can just pull up? These words gave truth to everything I've been feeling over my career. Every piece of my soul that feels like it was taken advantage of by the healthcare seemed to come full circle in this book. It made sense why I felt like just a number, because I was just a number. This gave facts, this gave numbers and data. It didn't make me necessarily feel better, but it made me feel less insane.
yeah, because you're not the problem. And you never
Because
were.
we are not the problem.
Yeah.
It is a designed problem. There's a design around us that we can't even fully see. And the research that you have done, Matt, is profound and is going to ripple through generations. And you're really starting the base of something incredibly impactful here. And I think any healthcare provider, nurse, tech, doctor, an x-ray tech, a nutritionist, you need to be reading How Healthcare Dies. You need to know the exact statistics and numbers that are already happening underneath your nose, that are happening at the healthcare facility you work at. I think knowledge is power, and the only way to turn the ship around is to be validated in the areas that we feel a little crazy, and to collectively come together to move forward and hope.
Yeah. That means a lot to me. Jeff is my best friend, and my wife is here, and there's other people that matter, but like we've decided to go into business together. And as a business partner, like it hits different because, on one level, I really want to make sure that we as a unit move forward with our business plan for our business. But like I took this as an individual project and ran with it because I've been holding on to it for so long. But it's like, all the boats rise when one rises. So for me to go out and do my own independent project is like, I'm not pushing you away. I'm pushing towards you because there's so much hope in what this is. And like, I think for me, it's about that metric of like making this book more of a movement than a book for the sake of a book. People don't read books like they used to. And one of the ways to get a long form research book into people's hands is to totally like is to overwhelmingly connect it to their day to day. So what you're reading in the book was my intention. And it wasn't just Ashley, but it was like every bedside nurse, every bedside provider needs this was written inside that mind. And I'm to hear you say that you caught that is like, oh, thank goodness. And for just for your own healing, as much as you helped me, I want to be the guy, and your business partner that kind of through my research and whatnot helps you, and giving back. And I like,
You are doing that.
yeah. And, what's funny is our business just completed its 150-year business model. And what that says to our business is that we want to play the long game in this business model that does the right thing long after you and I are in charge. And like, it changes some of the decisions you make to say, let's go long term. Let's not go for this quick money. Let's go for something that's meaningful. And I think that's the selling point. That's what separates a book in the crowd of books to what I consider more of a method, more of a philosophy. And like, we want to present books over and over again that hits at that core, but maybe differently, because this book, it's more of an indictment on like, this is how bad things could be. But maybe the next book is about how soft it takes to break your heart and rebuild it. And the next one could be about, how you actually engage in recovery. And like, I think, each of those messages are important and leads us into the same momentum, the same end goal. So I'm just glad you've been here all day. This is our second time to be live and in the same place. And I think every time we come together, it feels like we just have the potential to change the world. And I think in a very real sense, we've changed the worlds of individuals we've interacted with. And if we were to go back to that healthcare center in Florida, like, we might see some changed lives. The first person I gave the sticker to was a tech and one of the offices I work at very rarely. And I went back 2 months later and she saw me and she cried. She just gave me a hug and was like, Matt, I was a 1 when you gave me the sticker, and now I'm a 5, maybe a 7 some days. She's like, I think I would have quit. I think my life would have been, she's like, my life would have been different. She wasn't talking about work. So, I think impact is what we've always said was our priority. And I think impact with this book is what I'm going for. And like, the hardest thing to change is someone's heart. So, all right.
I think the hardest thing to have something changed is someone's heart. And you were bypassing the emotions and getting right to the fruit and the
Yeah.
fact. And I think once you can get the fact, that people can decide how they then feel
Yeah.
about the fact and bring their emotion in safely. So thank you for what you have done and the research you have provided to healthcare and to the world, because this is just the start of many, many great movements.
Good. All right. I'm going to close with our transition. I'm going to get Chad on here. Okay. Just a nurse is a language we retire today. Right? Nurses are healers whose first duty is to protect the self that allows them to keep showing up. Boundaries They're the shape of that care. All right, Chad, I'm coming to you. I added him. He's waiting. I thought I added him. Where'd you go, Chad? Okay. What happened to Chad? There he is. Chad, are you there?
I am here.
Welcome.
How are you?
Good. We have had a really good day. Chad, I say your name wrong, Sasser. I don't know why I want to do something different. I want to give me a little introduction and we're going to let you talk. And then
Okay.
Ashley's here. We're going to both interview you, okay?
hmm
Chad Sasser's work with Nurse Wish aligns closely with the Harless Method and the business of hope. This framework insists that recovery from more injury and burnout is not a luxury, it's the organizing principle for transforming exhaustion into a sustainable impact. Now, Chad's here. He represents Nurse Wish. Nurse Wish is one of our sponsors. We love Chad and his work. We are working on a project together called Speak Truth to Power. Now, I think Amber was here with her safe staff, and the data collection that they're bringing is definitely going to speak some truth out there. I think the work of the book is speaking truth to everyone, and our goal with Speak Truth to Power is to try to get more and more people to join this idea of saying, this is the truth of what I'm experiencing. And we are just overwhelmed. Chad comes with such a wealth of knowledge. Chad will be the first person to say that he doesn't work in healthcare. It's because he's not a provider. Um, but he definitely works in healthcare. He helps on that staffing end by bringing in uh, workers. And I'm going to stop. Chad, I want to hear from your mouth. Welcome. It's your turn.
Well, hi Ashley. Hi Matt. How are you guys? Yeah, I'm excited to give my feedback on the book because honestly, this is what everyone's saying underneath their breath. This is what everyone is, knows, but people can't speak truth to power for whatever reason of retaliation, out of fear, out of just exhaustion. Um, Nurses don't speak truth to power, and you do it. Um, you know, I just commend you so much because you are reaching all the pain points here. So it was an impressive book, and I'm glad to hear that it's having early success and because it has a resounding message.
Yeah, thank you. We met the bestseller list last week. So we hadn't even officially announced it. People started buying it. So I was like, we'll just go with it. And then it turned up on the list. So um, we're just, I think for me, I say it again, but it's not so much about the number of books I sell as much as it is about how many people's lives are changed and how we can open up authorship and really kind of, like you said, speak truth to power and feel safe. I think psychological safety is what's going to allow people a position to feel like they can. But I appreciate your words. Did you have any questions for him, Ashley?
No, reading over some of your questions.
I'll unmute here. I think I just want to hear more about Nurse Wish from Chad and what Chad's doing.
Yeah, so Nurse Wish started as a kind of pet project as a think tank from inside a think tank here in Cincinnati, Ohio, where I live and volunteer through. And it started as an idea of just, giving back to nurses and healthcare workers to address burnout. And, you know, democratically, the group decided to really turn it towards, what I would call giveaways. And, not necessarily a pizza party, but tickets to the ball game, entry to the art museum, to the zoo. And these were nice ideas and, gestures. But anecdotally, we got the feedback pretty quickly that it just wasn't valued. And, it made me stop and say, like, what can I do for you? What can I do for an individual nurse? And that is a scary kind of question to ask because it really entails a lot of um, legwork and a lot of logistics to even be able to pull off individual wishes. But that's the goal. And we're building to that. We're building to that in ways that found me partnering with the both of you and the Business of Hope so that we could talk about speaking truth to power. We're going through some changes with that as we started with a hotline to try to, with the assumption that nurses want to tell their stories anonymously that for the fear of feedback. But the last meeting I had with Matt, it seems like that's turning, we're getting volunteers that actually want to tell their story and put their name on it. So that is exciting because more of this needs to be produced. More content needs to be produced. Not everybody's going to read through a 17 or 18 chapter book, unfortunately. So, in today's, media market, you have to make it quick and digestible. So, it does seem like the three of us are pivoting towards creating content in that way. And then, towards the greater thing of, starting to grant wishes for nurses, I'm really working on funding. And the funding is going to come through um, some books that I've developed for children that we've talked about in the past that are
Yeah.
nearly ready to go, both of you. So I'm very excited. I'm going to be following in both of your footsteps and be a published author here soon. So,
Good.
so yeah, what I'm talking about to your audience is, the brand of cartoon characters, for lack of better description, called the Squirrel Nurse Squad, and it is a series of stories that I'm starting to tell to just take the fear out of healthcare for children and tell them about what you have to go through for a broken leg to get your tonsils taken out, stuff like that that really
Cool.
can teach younger audiences about all the work that you guys do and you know hopefully make superheroes or at least um, admired profession from a child's point of view of kids wanting to grow up to be a nurse so they could be like the Squirrel Nurse Squad. So, but the Squirrel Nurse Squad has always been the mascot for Nurse Wish, and it's really my intention is to donate the money for Nurse Wish so that we can start to fund the projects in um, larger capacity and you know larger reach. So I'm excited about it. It's not easy. It's not easy to look a nurse in the eyes and ask them, "Hey, what can I do for you?"
Yeah.
Because part of it is they don't know, and part of it is that like just then finding out what we can do for them, being able to do it. And the whole idea is bonding in a different way, I think, but with the same intention as the Business of Hope. So,
Beautiful. I'm excited to see that project coming, and I was glad you mentioned it. I didn't want to spill the beans, but
oh,
like
we're
it's so
close.
fun.
Yeah,
Kids
no,
book.
the first book is like it's a book of a young kid who has a seizure and then has to learn about, seizure protocol and what epilepsy is, and then um, I then he gets a service dog at the end, and I have a friend who lost a son to epilepsy, and so when I showed the story to her, that's the first one that's ready, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
kind of put them out one by one, but just to get her feedback on it, and just like we went out and had lunch, and I printed out a couple copies to see what it would look like, and just to like hear her say that she wants to take the book to the Epilepsy Foundation and really use it as like a learning tool for children with epilepsy is like, it's humbling. But if it can do all that and raise money for Nurse Wish, that's really what the intention of the Squirrel Nurse Squad is. So
Oh,
it's
I love it.
coming. It's coming. I mean, I don't know if we're days or weeks or just like within a couple weeks in July for sure.
Sweet.
So, yeah.
We'll definitely be promoting that. That'll be so exciting. And then,
Well, yeah, I mean that like to come back to you guys both, it really is. It's been humbling that you guys have embraced the idea of speak truth to power, and we still have some work to do, but it means a lot to me to be partnered with you guys.
oh, yeah, we were just thrilled. And really, I think there's a movement of people that are doing it in their own ways. And it's just trying to come alongside them and say, how do we provide you a platform to do it? And
Yeah.
I'm excited because I think that's what's coming next. So, and how healthcare dies, I think, is kind of a handshake for that because um, we're talking about the process of recovery, and we're talking about naming the wounds, and we're trying to get people from point A to point B where, there's three choices that you make after burnout or moral injury. One is to just leave the profession entirely. And I think when we saw that mass exodus during COVID, it scared a lot of administration and a lot of people. The second is to stay and just quietly quit, which is what so many people are doing. And, it ends up being its own hardened shell that harms you. But the third option is the one that we're really trying to embrace, is to say that the end game is to stay in bedside. That's what Jennifer Johnson was saying just now. But it's like finding a new way to approach the your service, you know. And I'm actively researching organizations that fit that mold that says you have that psychological safety and you're good in a good place. And I could tell you, but I'm up to like 33. I think the last time we talked, I had 14.
Okay.
And it's like, I'm not ready to make the list public yet, but I'm like, there's hope in these organizations that there's magic and they're not perfect. When I start naming them, I don't want people to think they're perfect,
Yeah.
but I just think they're on a trajectory that says we can work together.
Well, that's why I, love the business of hope because, you know, it's quick and easy to put the hospitals and the administrations in the blame game and point the finger. But the truth is, they're in the business of life and death. And that is a lot to ask. And really, like, if I'm going to say anything, I want them focused on that. Like, because
Yeah.
when it comes down to my life and my death, like, please make sure this place is running. And so I do think you address all those problems, but I also think that the hospitals aren't in a position to be the emotional trigger or the emotional release for the burnout. And the pizza parties and the small gestures of you know snacks and treats, it makes the situation worse. And so the
Yeah.
faster they recognize that they need help from, people like you, clinicians who have been in the trenches like you and Ashley have been in, and that it really is like they need to ask for the help. And the help should be, in my opinion, outside the administration and outside the employer-employee relationship. So, I mean, yes,
Yeah.
I agree that, I would love to hear and very curious to hear those names of the hospitals are doing it right. We spoke of one specifically that we're both, familiar with. So I do know
Yeah.
what you're trying to do. And it is awesome because like there is FOMO, and like once a hospital realizes that positivity can happen, that hope can happen, the other ones want it. It's not a lack of desire. It's that they're overwhelmed too, and that
Right.
everything they have tried falls on deaf ears because it doesn't, as nurse, back to Nurse Wish, it doesn't look the clinician in the eye, and it doesn't say that you know it doesn't add value to what that person wants individually. And so it's hard on the hospitals is what I'm trying to say. And I don't
I feel
necessarily,
that.
I don't necessarily think they deserve the blame because it's hard to be in the business of life and death, even from an administrator's standpoint. But
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally agree. And I think a lot of people like to point the finger, but like I go back to the idea, like I think there should be profit. Like I think hospitals like a business exists to make money. I just think oftentimes it's the main decider, like how much profit, how much more can we make instead of, uh there's a lot of solutions around money, and I just think we could talk about it. Like, try it. What was I going to say? Hospitals are like the NBA. It's called a copycat league. Once you can prove that caring for your staff members and creating psychological safety generates this form of synergy, that old word, but like when it comes to like creating efficiencies in the hospital, nurses can do more for efficiency if they are a motivated workforce. You know, doctors, can operate differently if they choose to, or they could, it's like treating those what I consider the actual economic engine of the hospital is patient care, and everything
yeah,
else should be there to support it,
yeah.
you
I,
know?
I, I agree. First of all, I don't think for profit is like the business. I mean,
Yeah.
I think there is ways to be profitable within a nonprofit.
Yes.
But in the definition of what nonprofit is, hospitals fit the bill. So I've
Yeah.
never understood how it went from every hospital being a nonprofit to for profit. And so that is the first thing. The second thing is the World Cup's going on, and like it is a bad look for the United States of America to be, graphics put up that 47 out of 48 countries involved in the World Cup all have universal health care. That is a bad look. And like
Oh my goodness.
hearing that we're like the richest nation in the history of the world is like that's got to stop. Because
Yeah.
like like it is just not the case when every other nation in the developed world has figured it out. And then the
Yeah.
third point I'd like to make in response to that is that I like I talk to nurses a lot, and
You do.
whenever they have a story about entrepreneurship, I'm here for it. I'm ready to hype them up, whatever I can do. And I had a nurse recently tell me that her husband's a truck driver, and they were thinking about doing med transport and buying a used ambulance. And what did I think? And I was like, I love it. I started running financial projections of how many hours a day you would need to run the truck to make a profit, all the stuff, that from a business side. And then I asked another nurse like what she thought. And her response was like it's, it's definitely needed. Wait times on discharges are as long as ever they've ever been, so it's definitely needed. But and this is the important thing she said. She says it doesn't matter one bit that she's a nurse. And that kind of like hit me, because like what does that mean? And it means that you guys take an oath to take an order from a doctor, and that nurse, starting a medical transport would be better off being an EMT than a registered nurse. And to me, that is like a systemic indicator that the nurse is undervalued and always has been in the United States. I mean,
Yeah.
there are Western thinking countries like the United States where the nurse can't touch a patient without an order, but it's not that way all over the world. There are parts of the world that like just like out of, sheer like necessity require the nurse to be the clinician, to be the med prescriber, to be the med distributor, and to me, I like the problem is systemic. It's very deeply
Yeah.
rooted, and yes, the 2 points that they're holding nurses' pay down because of greed. I agree with that, and they are. But they have systemically told nurses that they need to take an order to care for a patient. And really that like story kind of, brought home just like where the healthcare system regards registered nurses.
Yeah. No. No, I think that's very thoughtful of you, and I just really appreciate it. Um, I'm kind of at a loss for words. You have always been such a good thinker, and you talk to a lot of nurses, and I really feel like you're on the pulse of things. Ashley's here, and you haven't had a chance to say much. Did you have any questions or comments, or where are you coming in?
Well, Chad, I just really love everything you're doing and advocating for nurses on your end. It's actually great to have people that aren't clinical workers necessarily in this field and advocating and seeing the do
Oh
this.
no.
Yeah, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay.
I can. Yeah.
Um, but just seeing someone so passionate on the outside and so positive and willing to change this is gives me hope on top of what Matt and I are growing. And I think that what you're doing to educate people, to educate young people, is really profound and starting a good movement in the right direction.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I thank you for that, and it means a lot to me to be embraced by the two of you because you didn't need to take on the Speak Truth to Power as a project. So I'm thankful for your partnership too because I'm not a nurse, and so the faster that my work is partnered with real nurses that have been there and done it. And Matt deserves a ton of credit just for the content, the powerful content he puts out. If anybody's out there watching this or listening, please follow Matt on social media. He really um, he speaks truth to power, as much as anyone I know. So yeah, and with the Squirrel Nurse Squad, like I am just anxiously kind of nervous if it, but everybody I've shown it to has just, told me that I showed it to my banker the other day and she was like she's my banker. We talk like twice a year or something, it's not like we're friends or anything. And she was like, I showed it to my 7-year-old and he asked to read it 3 more times. And I was just, so everywhere I go with it, it does seem like it's powerful. And if it can fund what we're doing with Nurse Wish, then that is really the hope. That my business of hope there is that, we can fund what we want to do and really start to change lives. Yeah, so I'm excited about it. I
You
can't get
should be. What you're doing is great.
I bought new lights and everything. I can't get the lighting right in my face here. I don't know what it was right before I started, but I even bought I've got like lights around me right now and it's still dark. So I apologize for that, but
No.
Daylight behind you, it draws the eye back.
yeah. Yeah. Well, I can't do anything about that. But
That's okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
don't worry about it.
okay, yeah, I know. I mean, like I said, I am excited and I don't know how much more you want to hear about it, but I I'm uh I'm talking with an Indian nurse who she's one of the candidate sources for the individuals um the Canadian nurses that want to come to the United States, and
Oh, yeah.
she wants to translate the Scroller Squad into Indian, into Hindi and Punjabi, so that we
Yeah.
can like she's like, you think you can sell a lot of these copies in America? Wait till the Indians get a hold of this stuff, and so
Gotta go global. Yeah.
yeah, I mean I was like, there's or Scroller Squad is is going there, and then I don't know if I've talked to you guys about the Just a Buck Facebook community, but there is a woman, there is a group of nurses basically that is on Facebook and they do Just a Buck. And like what they do is they pick a random lucky nurse every week and then give her a QR code to her Venmo and everybody donates like $1 or what have you. And
Oh, wow.
there are like 10 most weeks you can expect the nurse to get like $10,000, which is to me that's life changing. I mean, it's not all the money in the world, but I'm not kicking $10,000 out of bed. That's all I'm saying. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. And so I showed it to the Indian nurse and like what she does is she teaches NCLEX and she teaches like in um there's a lot of culture changes between the United States and Canada and foreign countries, the African countries, India, the Philippines. And so she teaches, bedside assessments and IV therapies and telemetry and just all the skill sets that nurses are going to need. And so I showed her the idea of, one, Nurse Wish, and two, the dollar a week. And, she was like on board with starting to just find nurses that have wishes and then, fund the wish through the crowdfunding. And I don't know how close we are to like starting that program, but she and I have had numerous talks on how cool that would be to just, because I, yeah, I mean, it doesn't just have to be American nurses that I'm trying to help. I mean, when I start
Yeah.
to, if you like, I ought to get you on the phone with a couple of them. When you hear the stories of perseverance that these nurses have been through to get from their home country, like some of the this lady once she showed me pictures of like where the hometown where grew up in India. It just to think that she made it to Canada and she's like on her way to becoming a registered nurse in the United States. Like, it really is. I told her I was like, you should write a book about your life, like because it's amazing. It's inspirational to hear these stories. So Nurse
Yeah.
Wish, Squirrel Squad, they may be going global before we know it. So
You are
which
doing it,
I
man.
I just I'm like on a surfboard just riding the wave here. So
Yeah.
just tell everybody about it and try to do everything. So and I
Yeah.
am excited. I don't know if you have an update or like if the three of us should meet a separate time to talk
Oh,
about
definitely.
the content. But what's your feedback? So did you think any more about the speech content or format that I suggested?
Oh, I think it's a beautiful concept that we've got to figure out. It's
Okay.
all about condensing the time, and it's better, it's more palpable for people to digest,
Yeah.
but it's that time limit is hard to get presenters to do. But like I think the purpose of it is like what we need to
So you have been I'm sorry you have
Yeah.
been asking nurses, and the timed speech is like it's scaring them off, or is that what you're
No,
telling?
I've been working it on myself.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
the process, I've I I need to be better at it. And then I
Yeah.
can teach it to someone else.
Yeah, you know, the way I do it is I write out the script, and I have the slides, and then I just read it back to myself, because you think like reading is like faster, but really when you get like the adrenaline pumping, it's relatively the same. So if you can
Yeah.
read it, as like the time slides go, and then say, okay, well, I'm over here, I need to cut this little piece
Yeah.
of the sentence out, and that's how I condense it. I equate being able to just read off a script to the timed presentation going through, um, being like the equivalent to if you were to go say, okay, you're live now, or
Right.
like that. That is, um, because you speak faster when you're in front of a live audience than you do when you just practice it at home.
Yeah.
But if you read faster than you speak. So,
Yeah.
I just read it to myself over and over again till I
That's what I
know.
need to do.
Yeah, until I know. But then, yeah, I mean, once we get that, and deciding on the length of how long people want to go, that really is, if people are telling us they want to tell the story, that is like a powerful. And I've told people like Rosa, and other you know nurse
Yeah.
influencers about how much I think there is like a missing equation to podcasting. And the missing is that there's no visual accompaniment, and that people aren't prepared.
No,
And
it's
so,
beautiful. Yeah.
so I am excited about, that pivot, because, and if we need to pivot again, we'll just talk it through. So,
Okay. Chad, your presence here was so grateful. I just can't believe.
it's a light.
Um, I don't have any more questions. Do you have anything you want to say, either one of you?
I'm just, I'm proud to be a part of a partnership with you guys. So I thank you very much.
We'll keep doing it. We'll set up a time. We'll talk offline.
Okay.
But thanks, Chad.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a great day.
Welcome.
Bye.
Awesome. All right. It is almost 4:30. We're going to finish up a little early. And our last speaker is me.
Yeah.
I don't have any questions for me. I've got kind of a thing, a closing that I want to talk about. But Ashley, do you want to say anything before I close? I think we might be done a few minutes early, but let me just read this. As we close, I think it's important to situate how healthcare dies within this larger Harless Method of Hope series that you're going to find at mattharless.com. How healthcare dies is the bedside witness, and it's a systems warning. It's a clear, uncompromising account of how modern care is being redesigned around scarcity, around silence, moral compromised, and managed decline. Transition to hope informed care is going to serve as a field guide for healers moving from bedside survival to a values aligned practice. It's built around the Harless method, the three movements: yourself, education, and then others. It translates the realities named in how healthcare dies into practical language, into boundaries and tools for nurses who choose to stay or to return to the bedside. And then Pathway to Healing is coming. It's a focus on personal and spiritual recovery, overcoming codependency, martyrdom, establishing boundary setting, and a commitment to self healing so that clinicians can separate who they are from what healthcare has done to them and begin to live from restored identity and hope. Together, these works form a coherent recovery and reform model. Naming the harm was how healthcare dies, building sustainable practice, the transition to hope, and restoring the uh-oh, where'd I go? Did I leave? Okay. Something disappeared. Anyway, restoring the person behind the badge. That is pathway to healing. It's all anchored in the business of hope and the Heartless Method. And now there's a call to action. Your next step may be to purchase and read How Healthcare Dies, exploring other books in the series, and completing the Hope Assessment. Joining a peer circle, advocating for safe staffing, restructuring your own boundaries. Recovery is not a side project. It is the organizing principle for transforming moral injury into purpose, into agency, and sustainable impact. Healthcare as usual has had its day. Today has not been about what happens when nurses and patients and communities. It's when we reclaim the microphone. We insist on a different future. This morning, I asked everyone in the room, I asked you to repeat those 5 words with me. I am not done yet. Some of you said it. And then you spent the whole day proving it. So before anything else, thank you, truly. A book has an author's name on the cover, but no book, and certainly no launch like this, happens because of one person. It says it in the book, healing happens in community, and you must find your own. Today, I found mine. It's all of you. I want to thank the beta readers and the endorsers, the nurses, the physicians, and the leaders who read these pages before the world did and told me the hard truths early. Thank you. You made this book honest. To the Fountain County Coalition, the faith leaders, the agencies, the neighbors who sat at the table at noon and refused to accept that a hospital desert is just the way things are. And thank you. You're a living proof of what this book argues on paper. To the volunteers, the hosts, the team, set up chairs, ran the tech, handled logistics, made this whole day work. Thank you. The book has a line for you. The book, it says that the people who keep everything running and rarely get named, you're the reason anything still works at all. To everyone who bought the book and shared it, posted a review, or simply showed up, thank you. You didn't just support a launch, you supported a movement. And I wrote 2 versions of the ending. And thankfully, I get to write the bestseller one. I want you to know that as of Friday, June 26th, How Healthcare Dies became an Amazon bestseller. Celebrate. I just, I want to be clear about what that banner really means, okay? Because it's not about me. It means a system that has spent years telling caregivers to be quiet just got drowned out by the noise of you refusing to be quiet. Every copy is a nurse saying, finally, someone said it. Every review is a vote that the truth is worth telling out loud. See, a bestseller list is a strange place for a book like this. A book about unsafe shifts and moral injury and rural hospitals that are closed. But that's maybe the exact point. You put a warning from inside the room onto a list, and the whole industry watches. That's not my win. That's ours. And it's a megaphone that we are going to use. However, we measure today. Here's what I know for certain. This book is not the end of the work. It's the second volume of a library I intend to keep building. One book a year. For as long as there are caregivers who need to be reminded of the truest thing I know. You're not the problem. You never were. You're what hope looks like once it's decided to tell the truth. So go home tonight and rest. You earned it. When you wake up tomorrow, remember the 5 words. We are not done yet. Thank you. Good night.